Everyone, this is Greg Ferris, the founder of MyoBrain. Today's quick video will be discussing all things weightlifting belts, how to use them, who should use them, what kind of belt to get. Let's dig into it. Okay, first things first in this video, it's meant to be more of an introduction to weightlifting belts. So if you have questions, make sure to hit them in the YouTube comments or message me directly if you want to go into a deeper dive. But the first thing to talk about here, different types of belts that we can use. So we can start with something here, which most people are probably familiar with, more of a Velcro style belt. This is from Rogue Fitness. These are going to be, number one, a lot cheaper, and for some people, just a little bit more comfortable to use. I would say these are a little bit more beginner friendly, very common in the CrossFit community. With weightlifting belt, a lot of people in the strength community kind of knock a Velcro belt, something lighter like this, but it really can get the job done for a lot of people. Again, it's a lot more flexible. Multiple people can use it at the same time. So if you have kind of a family, again, nothing wrong with this belt. I have deadlifted 500 pounds at a belt like this, squatted 400 pounds at a belt like this. So again, kind of a standard Velcro belt that you can use is fine for a lot of people. It's also a lot cheaper. This is Rogue Fitness, kind of a premium belt. You probably can find something like this for 20 to 40 bucks. Pretty high quality Velcro belt. Then you have more of the heavy duty style belts. So this is an Inzer belt. As you can likely see, it's very thick, probably hard to tell, but it's very rigid as well. This has a lever where essentially you can size it on the holes here based upon your waist size. And then when I want to use this, I can just put it around my waist, go in the holes here. I kind of can use this in my rest period. Then when I'm ready to hit a set, I essentially flap that on as ready to go. You also can get belts like this that have kind of a prong that you pull to kind of tighten it either way. So a belt like this, way more expensive, probably close to 100 bucks or so. They are super durable. This belt is probably close to 10 years old and it's looks perfect, it works perfect. So it was kind of a lifetime purchase there. But I would say deciding between these two belts, more of the Velcro style or a thicker kind of Inzer style belt like this, is based upon your goals. If you're really trying to be, hit your max strength levels, you're trying to be competitive, something like this will probably be a better resource for you, a better investment for you than a Velcro belt. But if you're someone who's just trying to work out 3-4 days a week, you don't care about deadlifting 315, you're not trying to max out your strength, there's nothing wrong with the Velcro belt either. So it's kind of a little bit more on personal preference and what your goals are. Once you've selected your belt type, the most important thing is how to actually use our belt, okay? The first thing we'll go over is belt placement. This is kind of individual because people's builds are unique, right? But generally speaking, when you tighten your belt, it should be somewhere over your belly button, right? So you don't want it really low on your back, and you also don't want it kind of up here on your rib cage. So again, when I tighten my belt, usually the middle of the belt is roughly on my belly button area. But you can play around with that belt placement there. But it should obviously be through your lower back, not too low and not too high. Second thing would be the belt tightness. This is a big mistake we see with people is they ratchet their belt as tight as they can. They have to almost like suck in to make it fit. You don't need your belt that tight. Again, I can make a video and my belt is on currently. So you should be able to see some space within your belt. You should be able to feel around. It shouldn't feel incredibly restricting because you're gonna wanna blow out into the belt. So you need some space there when you're essentially at rest. And the most important thing here is how we use the belt. We're actually doing a lift, say like squats or deadlifts, okay? So the main thing we're looking for here is a 360-degree expansion of our stomach area. We don't wanna just breathe into the stomach. Sometimes what that can do is create an arch in your lower back. So you kind of do this thing. And we don't want to arch the lower back, right? We want a little bit more of a neutral position in our hips and our lower back. We want to have the stomach, the obliques, and the lower back all creating more tension. So if I take a big breath like this, I should be able to feel all of that tension around here, right? So it's more about pulling my rib cage down and not just a big belly breath, and extending. Okay, so that's the big key with a belt is 360 degrees, stomach, obliques, and lower back all pressing out to create a very rigid spine position. It's also really helpful, that's why I recommend using a belt, because you can feel this. If I take the belt off entirely, I still can have that good bracing, right? I'm bracing here, like almost someone's gonna punch me. That's a good cue. But it's harder to feel that because I don't have anything external to feel upon, right? But when I have this belt and I do that same breath, I can feel, okay, my lower back is flush, my obliques are flush, my stomach is flush. So a lot of times just having the belt on there helps with that feedback that you are bracing properly. Okay, and finally here, let's talk about when to use a weightlifting belt. The first thing is on what particular exercises to use it on. I personally only use a belt with a squat or a deadlift, but some people also use them for things like bench press and Romanian deadlift. So as a good rule of thumb, a heavy barbell movement like a squat or deadlift is a good place to start. But if you feel more comfortable with the Romanian deadlift or even a leg press or a split squat, that can be fine too if you feel like it does help you with having some good core rigidness. The second thing is when in your workout to actually use them. The good rule of thumb here is your final warm-up set is when you should start using your belt. And then of course for all of your working sets. So say if we have an example here of someone doing 3 sets of 5 of a back squat at 200 pounds and they warm up, say they do 45, 135, 185, and then 200 pounds, their working sets. I wouldn't wear a belt at 45, I wouldn't wear a belt at 135, but I would at 185, the final warm-up set, and then of course for all the working sets at 200. The reason why I recommend using it for the final warm-up set is so we can practice, right? We want to be able to practice all the things I talked about. Is the belt in a good position? Is it tight enough? Is it too loose? Whatever. And then I can practice that bracing for a couple of my warm-up reps. And then when you get into your hard sets, it's going to feel more familiar. Okay, for some bonus content here, these are 3 common mistakes I see when it comes to wearing a belt. The first one I mentioned already, but it's having it way too tight. I see people in the gym do this quite often where they just wrench this down on their stomach, and I look at them about to do a movement and I'm like, they're not even bracing properly. They're just creating a whole bunch of tension in their stomach and hope it helps them, lift the weight. Right, so again, you don't need it super tight. You should be able to put in a finger or two between your stomach, say, and the belt. A mistake is kind of related, but it's using the belt to arch. And this kind of is more of a mistake of the breath work, but the belt I think sometimes can make it worse. And that people put a belt on their stomach and they breathe really heavy into this and then arch their lower back. So again, that's not what we're aiming to do. You want to think more rib cage down and 360 degrees, right? So not just belly breath, but make sure we're bracing properly. The third mistake I've seen with belt use is only using it for say a test day or 1 rep max. I saw this all the time back in the CrossFit gym where I would train with people and never see them wear a belt for weeks or months at a time. And then all of a sudden it was 1 rep max day and they would grab their friend's belt and say, I need this to max out. Well, maybe it could help on the day, but again, they're not getting any of those practice reps in. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how to brace properly. It may not be fitted for them. So again, like any other training tool, we want to be consistent. You wouldn't wear new shoes on a 1 rep max day. You wouldn't change up something like that. So make sure if you're wanting to use a belt, on your test day to actually use it, for your everyday training. All right, and that's a wrap for our weightlifting belts for strength training video. Like all the YouTubers, if you like our content, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Again, any questions, feel free to message me directly, myobraincoaching@gmail.com, or drop a note in the YouTube comments.